prairie was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes after a long, hard rain. Cole was out checking the fence line, boots sinking into the soft earth, when he heard a faint cry drifting on the wind. He paused, heart thudding, and listened. There it was again, a voice, weak and trembling, calling for help. He followed the sound, pushing through the tall grass until he found her. She was huddled beneath a cottonwood tree, her dress torn and muddy, her face pale with pain. She looked up as he approached, her eyes wide and desperate. "Please, help me," she whispered, her voice barely more than a breath. Cole knelt beside her, his hands gentle as he brushed the hair from her face. "You're safe now," he said softly. "Tell me where it hurts." She winced, pressing a hand to her side. "My leg, and my hip. I fell, but it hurts. Down there too." Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but the pain in her eyes was real. Cole's concern deepened. He'd seen injuries like this before, falls from horses, accidents in the fields. He knew how quickly a simple wound could turn serious. "Let me take a look," he said, his voice calm and steady. She nodded, biting her lip as he carefully lifted the hem of her dress, searching for the source of her pain. He found a deep bruise on her thigh, the skin swollen and angry. But as he gently pulled back the fabric to check for further injury, he froze. There, hidden beneath the mud and blood, was a jagged cut, deep and raw, already beginning to swell. Cole's breath caught. He'd seen wounds like this before, and he knew how dangerous they could be. "We need to get you cleaned up," he said, forcing his voice to stay steady. "This cut needs to be washed and bandaged, or it'll get infected." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to be a burden." Cole shook his head, his tone gentle but firm. "You're not a burden. You're hurt, and you need help. That's all that matters." He wrapped his coat around her shoulders and lifted her into his arms, careful not to jostle her injured leg. She clung to him, her body trembling with pain and fear. The walk back to the ranch was slow, every step measured and careful. Cole spoke to her in a low, soothing voice, telling her about the wildflowers that would bloom in the spring, about the way the prairie came alive after a storm. He could feel her relax, just a little, as the ranch house came into view. Inside, he settled her on the sofa and fetched warm water and clean cloths. He worked quickly, washing the mud and blood from her wounds, his hands gentle but sure. She watched him with wide, grateful eyes, her breath hitching every time he touched the cut. "It's deep, but I think you'll be all right," he said, wrapping the wound with a clean bandage. "You'll need to rest, and I'll keep an eye on it for infection." She nodded, relief flooding her face. "Thank you, Cole. I was so scared. I thought I'd be left out there all night." He smiled, a warmth in his eyes. "You're safe now. I'll take care of you." She closed her eyes, exhaustion overtaking her, and Cole sat beside her, keeping watch as the storm clouds drifted away and the prairie settled into a peaceful hush. As the night deepened, Cole realized that sometimes the greatest act of kindness was simply to be there, to pull back the darkness, to face what needed to be faced, and to offer comfort when it was needed most. The night passed slowly, the ranch house wrapped in a hush broken only by the crackle of the fire and the woman's soft, uneven breathing. Cole sat nearby, keeping vigil, his mind replaying the moment he'd found her, how close she'd come to being lost in the storm, how much pain she'd tried to hide. He checked her bandage every hour, making sure the bleeding had stopped and the swelling hadn't worsened. Just before dawn, she stirred, her eyes fluttering open. For a moment she looked confused, then relief washed over her face as she saw Cole. "You stayed," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Thank you." He smiled, pouring her a cup of water and helping her sit up. "Of course I stayed. You needed someone." She sipped the water, her hands still trembling. "My name's Hannah," she said quietly. "I was trying to get to my aunt's place on the other side of the valley. My horse spooked at a snake and threw me. I must have crawled for hours before I found that tree." Cole nodded, listening with quiet patience. "You're lucky you made it as far as you did. The prairie can be unforgiving, especially after a storm. Hannah looked down, her cheeks coloring. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to see. Down there. I thought if I just waited, the pain would go away. Cole shook his head, his voice gentle. There's no shame in needing help. We all do, sooner or later. He helped her eat a little breakfast, soft bread and warm broth, then checked her wound again. The swelling had gone down a bit, and the cut looked clean. You're healing, he said, relief in his tone. But you'll need to stay off that leg for a few days. I'll send word to your aunt so she doesn't worry. Hannah nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude. You're very kind, Cole. I don't know how to thank you. He shrugged, a small smile on his lips. You don't have to. Out here, we look out for each other. As the day wore on, Hannah rested, drifting in and out of sleep. Cole kept busy with chores, always checking in on her, making sure she was comfortable. In the afternoon, he brought her a book from his small shelf, and she read aloud as he worked nearby. Her voice was soft but steady, and Cole found himself looking forward to the sound. By evening, the pain had eased enough for Hannah to sit up and watch the sunset from the window. The sky was painted in streaks of gold and rose, the prairie glowing in the fading light. It's beautiful, she murmured. I never thought I'd see another sunset. Cole sat beside her, his presence steady and reassuring. You're safe now, Hannah. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. She looked at him, hope flickering in her eyes. I'd like that. I don't want to be a burden, but I don't want to be alone either. He reached for her hand, his touch gentle. You're not alone. Not anymore. That night, as the stars blinked awake above the prairie, Hannah slept soundly for the first time in days. Cole sat by the fire, a quiet peace settling over him. He realized that sometimes the hardest wounds to heal weren't the ones you could see, but the ones hidden beneath the surface, the fears, the shame, the loneliness. And as the moon rose high, Cole made a silent promise to help Hannah heal, to give her a place to belong, and to remind her that even the deepest hurts could be faced and overcome together. The days that followed were gentle and full of small kindnesses. Cole tended to the ranch, always making sure Hannah had what she needed: fresh water, warm meals, a book to read, or simply a quiet moment by the window to watch the prairie come alive. Hannah's strength returned slowly, the pain in her leg easing, the wound healing cleanly under Cole's careful watch. As she grew stronger, Hannah began to help around the house. She swept the floors, peeled potatoes, and even tried her hand at baking bread, laughing when her first loaf came out lopsided. Cole found himself smiling more, the ranch feeling less empty with her laughter echoing through the rooms. One afternoon, a wagon appeared on the horizon. Cole recognized the driver, Hannah's aunt, Mrs. Wilkins, her face lined with worry. She rushed inside, gathering Hannah into a fierce embrace. I was so afraid I'd lost you, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Hannah smiled, her voice steady. I'm all right, Auntie. Cole found me. He took care of me. Mrs. Wilkins turned to Cole, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Cole. I don't know how to repay you. Cole shook his head, a gentle smile on his lips. No need for thanks. I was just glad I could help. Hannah's aunt stayed for supper, and the little house was filled with warmth and conversation. As the sun set, painting the sky in gold and lavender, Mrs. Wilkins took Hannah's hand. You can come home with me now, dear. You're safe. Hannah hesitated, glancing at Cole. I'd like to stay a little longer, if that's all right. I want to help Cole with the ranch until I'm fully healed. Mrs. Wilkins smiled, understanding in her eyes. Of course, child. You're always welcome home, but you're old enough to choose your own path. The next weeks passed in a blur of work and laughter. Hannah's leg healed, and she grew more confident each day. She and Cole worked side by side, mending fences, tending the garden, and sharing stories by the fire. The bond between them deepened, built on trust, kindness, and the quiet courage it took to face pain and move forward. One evening, as they watched the stars blink awake above the prairie, Hannah spoke softly. I was so afraid, Cole. Not just of the pain, but of being seen, of someone knowing how much I hurt, how much I needed help. But you never made me feel ashamed. You just cared. Cole took her hand, his voice gentle. We all need help sometimes, Hannah. There's no shame in that. What matters is having someone to lean on. Someone who'll stay when things get hard. She smiled, her eyes shining. I want to stay, Cole. I want to build a life here, with you, if you'll have me. He squeezed her hand, his answer clear in his eyes. There's nothing I'd like more. As the seasons changed, the ranch flourished. Hannah and Cole built a life together, one filled with hard work, laughter, and the quiet joy of knowing they'd both found a place to belong. If you are enjoying the story, then please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more stories. The pain of the past faded, replaced by hope and the promise of new beginnings. On the anniversary of the day, Cole found her beneath the cottonwood tree. Hannah planted wildflowers along the fence line, their colors bright against the green prairie. She pressed Cole's hand in hers, gratitude and love shining in her gaze. And as the prairie stretched out before them, vast and full of promise, they knew that even the deepest hurts could heal, and that sometimes the greatest gift was simply to be there, to pull back the darkness, to offer comfort, and to face the future together.